Hey, this is Darren LaCroix with Your Speech Close. In this video, you're going to get a closing technique that is my favorite. There's 11 top closing techniques that I love to teach, but I want to give you my favorite. When you close your speech, this is such the important time. Opening is crucial to get their attention and get them to listen, but close is the reason, the reinforcement that backs up all of the presentation that you just gave. Now this is a little different from call to action, because you want a call to action. What are you trying to get them to do, think, or feel? So that's a call to action, but I'm talking about the close. So there are closing techniques that you can use that will make your presentation stronger. And this will make you look like a pro. One of the closing techniques, before I get to my favorite, I'll give you one bonus one because you're watching this video. One of them is closing on a poem. Now a poem, if it summarizes your presentation and can leave the audience up or in the emotion or energy state that you want to leave them, that's good. Now obviously you want to give credit for the poem. Now if you pay attention to teaching the opening techniques, we always say, Patricia Fripp and I, my coach, say don't start with a poem, especially if it's been used before. Now if it's original or attention getting, then yes. In the closing, it's a little different. In the closing, it's okay to use something that may have been heard before because your presentation is behind us. So a poem is one way to close and can be a powerful way to close. But if you're giving a corporate presentation, you may or may not want to close with a poem. But here's a great close, my favorite, and it's called the dialogue close. In order to have a dialogue close, it's much better if you can call back to it, meaning you told the longer story earlier on in the presentation. So it's the gist and it's part of the body. But what we want to do in our close is call back to that. So for example, in one of my stories, I talk about the little old lady at the craps table who taught me a powerful lesson about learning something new. It was great. So I tell that story early on in my presentation. But when I come to the close, the key line of dialogue, what I'm trying to summarize and get people to do is to take some action in this case. And so for example, the purpose of many of my presentations is to get audiences to get out and speak more. I give them techniques and what to do to be better, but you gotta get out there and speak. So I call back to an earlier story from the little old lady. Now the little old lady has a line of dialogue that I call back to, and that becomes my close. So after my call to action, after I review my speech, I come and say, I don't know what that little old lady's name was, but I'll tell you this. If she was here today, she would tell you, get in the game. And then I would walk off. Now obviously the story has to be earlier and powerful, but we're calling back to that, and that's how we're closing our speech. We never want to close our speech on thank you, what an honor, just like in the opening. That's boring. We want to leave them. And as Patricia Fripp says, your last words linger. They're going to remember the last thing you say, so you don't want that to be boring. So I hope that helps you with a powerful close, the dialogue close. If you'd like to check out and learn even more detail how to use that close and the other 10 strong closing techniques, just check out Create Your Keynote by next week.